Hello friends, you asked for it, you voted, and I got you covered. Today it's all about registration in the beautiful province of British Columbia. So if you've been looking to register with BCCNM, then today is your day. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. My name is Anne, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know most of you are familiar with registration for IEN'S in Canada, and you would agree with me, it has not been easy for anyone wanting to practice in Canada if you have not been trained in Canada. Okay, it has been such an expensive and lengthy process, and I know most of the people just gave up and looked other ways, or probably moved to other countries just because of how difficult it has been. And it has only taken the critical shortage that Canada has been experiencing lately on healthcare workers and nurses for the regulatory bodies to make some changes and to streamline the registration process, at least to be able to shorten the length, with the provincial government coming on board, at least to support IEN'S financially so that they can be able to complete their registration. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for anyone. But we have seen lots of changes lately, and we have seen more internationally educated nurses coming in and joining the workforce. So it means those changes are making a difference, and the length has really shortened. So if you're looking to come to Canada, this is the time for you to start your application with whichever province that you want to. But today we are looking at the registration in the province of British Columbia. So British Columbia, under the regulatory body BCCNM, have not been left behind. They have also made some changes in their registration process, as well as the BC government coming on board and chipping in with the financial support, covering the cost that the IEN'S incur. So it has made it very easy for people who are interested or who are aspiring to practice in British Columbia to be able to do so without struggling a lot. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at the registration process for British Columbia and how the government is going to fund you to be able to complete your registration. Okay, so first thing, we're going to check on the costs and how you're going to access these funds. Basically, the BC government has come up with a program that is known as IEN Bursary Program, and this is done through Health Match BC, and Health Match BC is just like a navigator service helping international educated nurses to navigate through registration process in BC, as well as be able to support them with finding employers and through their immigration process, and helping them to acquire the work permit, and all of that is under that Health Match BC, and they're doing much more than just that. Okay, so this program is under Health Match BC, and for you to be able to access these funds, you'll be required to sign up for IEN Bursary Program, but it's not mandatory. But I think you will need it, okay? Because no one wants to spend so much. So if you want to have some help or to get that financial support, so it's good that you register with IEN Bursary Program. Okay, so what is happening is that most of the costs have been completely waived, and others you're going to cough some money from your pocket, but it's going to be reimbursed, whereas others are going to be paid directly from the bursary program. Okay, so application fee for IEN'S, that has been waived completely. Application fee for BCCNM, that one has also been waived completely. And the fee for your IEN'S assessment, whether SLA or CBA, that one is going to be covered by the bursary program. And if you require transitional education or coursework, that one too is going to be covered by the bursary program. Okay, so for you to be able to access these funds, there are some eligibility criteria for you to follow. And first and foremost is that you it's for anyone who is registering with the BCCNM, and if you have any other active application with any other province, then you are supposed to withdraw that application and just remain with BCCNM application. Okay, then the other thing is that you will be required to sign a return of service agreement, and that is to put a commitment that after you get your license, you'll be able to stay in BC and work in BC, and that's why they're giving you the funds, so that you can be able to help out in BC. Okay, so you are going to sign a return of service agreement. So that is a commitment that you're going to make. And then the other thing is that you're required to have a social insurance number or a SIN, and that applies mostly to the IENs who are already in the country. For those who are outside the country, you do not require a SIN number for you to get the funding. But what happens is that some of the money that you're going to use from your pocket is going to be reimbursed once you get your SIN number, because it's government money. Okay, so it's going to be channeled to your account once you get your SIN number for accountability. Okay, so if you do not have a SIN number, don't worry, you go ahead and put in your application and then sign up for the bursary program, and you'll be able to get covered. I think the only money that you're going to use from your pocket is for a credential assessment, because you'll be required to do a credential assessment. So that is from 120 to 650 Canadian dollars. The approved credential agencies for BC is World Education Service, that's WES, Comparative Education Service, International Credential Assessment Service, and then International Credential Evaluation Service, as well as IEN'S. And in this case, they're saying that IEN'S will take about 12 weeks if you have to go for IEN'S, and WES takes about 7 days. So you can be able to weigh out which one you can be able to use for your credential assessment for this application. The other thing is, if you're going to need a language proficiency test, then that one too you're going to pay out of pocket. So, and then you'll be reimbursed for 2 attempts. So if you fail in the first attempt and you do the second attempt and you're successful, then you're going to be reimbursed. It doesn't matter, even if you fail the second time, you're going to be reimbursed for 2 attempts. Okay, so more than 2, it's going to be your cost. All right, so all the other fees, if you need any transitional education and if you need any IEN'S assessment, then that one is going to be covered by the bursary program, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's how the government is going to help you out with the cost for this registration. All right. So the province of British Columbia, once you do your application, they assess you both for a licensed practical nurse as well as registered nurse, and that is because sometimes you might find that you qualify for licensed practical nurse and you do not qualify for registered nurse. Okay, so for you to be able to join the workforce in a very short time, then if they assess you in the two professions and then you acquire your LPN, then you can be able to practice as you continue to pursue your RN registration, rather than where you need to do separate applications for LPN and RN. So I think this is quite helpful. You'll be able to be gaining experience as you process your RN license. Okay, so they're going to assess you for both LPN and RN. So if you're successful with your RN, well and good, you get your RN registration and you can be able to join the workforce. If you were educated in the US, UK, Australia, or New Zealand, you may not require to complete a competency assessment, and I have a separate video for you guys. Those of you who are from US, Australia, New Zealand, and UK. Okay. So how do you go about the application? The application with BCCNM. The first thing is to apply with IEN'S, that is the Nursing Community Service. So once you apply, you're going to submit your document, your personal identification document. You're going to submit your language proficiency document. You're going to submit your credential assessment documents to IEN'S, and all the other documents that they may need you to submit to them. And then once you submit those documents, then you are going to open up an account with BCCNM and start your registration. Okay, so those two can go hand in hand. You don't have to wait for IEN'S report for you to register with BCCNM. So once you submit your document to IEN'S, then you create an account with BCCNM and start your registration. Okay, and then once your documents are received by IEN'S, it takes them about 60 days for them to complete the evaluation and verification, and then advise BCCNM. The reason why they require you to apply with IEN'S is going to assess your credentials. It's also going to assess your language skills, and they're going to advise BCCNM on what is required of you. Okay, so once the report is sent to BCCNM from IEN'S, then BCCNM is going to review the whole package, and then they are going to give you final requirements. So these final requirements are supposed to be met for you to be eligible for your registration. So if you need any transitional coursework, then they are going to advise you accordingly based on individual circumstances. Once you complete all the requirements, then they're going to give you your provisional license so that you can at least start to practice, and then you prepare for your entry exam, that is NCLEX, okay? And once you're successful with NCLEX, then you're going to get your full license. Once you get your full license, then you're going to contact the Health Match BC, and they are going to help you to find an employer. And once you get an employer, then you're going to start your immigration application with the help of Health Match BC. They're going to help you with that process, and then you'll be able to get your permanent residence and be able to obtain your work permit as you wait for your permanent residence, so that you can be able to work. All right, so that's basically what is happening with this registration. So it's very straightforward, and it's very, very simplified for anyone wanting to register with a BCCNM. Okay, so I know most of you or those of you who are outside the country have been wondering how you're going to do your competency assessment if you are required to do one. You will be required to come to BC to do those assessments, because they're only carried out in BC, and they are they cannot be proctored. Okay, so you'll be required to come to BC to complete your competency assessment and your knowledge assessment. So the next question is, do you get back to your country? Do you travel back to your country after you're done with your assessment, or do you get to stay, or what happens after your competency assessment? So I tried to research on that, what happens after that, and what I think is that you'll be coming with your visitor's visa, right? So once you complete your assessment, if you're able to do or if you're able to meet all the other you're able to meet all the other requirements before the expiry of your visitor's visa, then you can be able to stay back and do the other things while you're here. So if your visitor's visa is expiring soon, then you will need to leave the country and come back once your registration is finalized, or once you're coming for your transitional education. So if you'll be required to complete a transitional education, then you'll be able now to come back with the student visa, I guess, and be able to do your coursework. The other thing that I found is that you can apply for your permanent residence through the other programs that are on the Canadian immigration website, so that you can be in the country to complete your registration. So that's the only other route that you can be able to use to be able to be in Canada. Okay, so the other question was if you will require a language proficiency. Depending on NCAS review, they might request for your credential assessment, and most of the international educated nurses will require a language proficiency test. So just be prepared, because I know they are going to ask you for one. Just be prepared. If you have to do IELTS, go ahead and do IELTS. The other language, the other approved language proficiency test is CELBAN, which is only done in Canada, or it's only available in Canada. So if you're able to get IELTS done, then have it done and submit that amongst your document as you submit to NCAS. There is one more new thing that has just been approved. That has been approved in August. It's about other ways to prove that you meet the language proficiency. and they have given different ways on how you can be able to do that. The first thing is that if you have completed any coursework or any education in Canada, that awards you a diploma or a certificate in Canada. The other thing is that if you completed your high school or secondary school in Canada, or if you have worked in Canada for the last 2 years directly with patients, whether in healthcare or in any healthcare setting, then that is acceptable. Or if you have practiced in a predominantly English setting, then that one too will be acceptable. And there is a form for your manager or supervisor to fill in to verify that. The other question was about finding an employer in Canada. So if you want to, if you've completed your registration successfully and you have your license, then Health Match BC is going to help you or to connect you with employers, and then you can be able to get a job. Okay, so I think that's all for today, and if you have any other question, kindly leave it in the comment section and I'll get back to you. I wish you all the best with your application. See you in our next video.